dugsiyada nuuraddiin schools.
Okay, let us back. Welcome back to our online lessons. Let us keep on our previous lesson. So in our last session, we were talking about past voice. So now we're gonna keep on continue our previous lesson. So this is, he has written the letters. Is an active voice. You know, this subject and this the object and this is the verb. So present perfect tense, the letters is the subject, present perfect tense. So it's a present perfect tense. So this the active voice and this section is past voice. So he has written the letters an active voice. You know, this the subject and this is a verb, and this is the object. So it's a present perfect tense. We wanted to change into past voice. The letters have been written by him. The letters have been written by him. So when you are going to use past voice in present perfect tense, remember subject, its original object, have, has, been, and verb past participle. This is the formula you're going to use present perfect tense in terms of past voice. So this is not the original, the object that we change, that we flip flow or turn it. So when you are going to change the sentence into past voice, you're gonna start the original object. For example, I have written the letters. You're going to say, change into past voice, the letters have been written by me. So this is the formula you are going to use. Another, he had written this past perfect tense. He had written the letters. So when you want to use in past voice and past perfect tense, you have to remember this formula. Had and been and verb past participle, because it's very important. For example, look at it. He had written the letters. He had written the letters, past perfect tense. So change into past voice. The letters had been written by him. The letters had been written by him. So remember, had been verb past participle. He has. This is infinitive. He has to write, it's not present perfect tense. He has to write the letters. He has to write the letters. It means he must write the letters. So when you wanted to change or to use a past voice, look the example. The letters have to be written by him. Have to be and past participle. Have to be and past participle. So this is the formula you are going to use. Another, he must write the letters. He must write the letters. You have the modal verbs. So when you wanted to change, do not change modal verb into past, but only past be and past participle. So this modal verb, must is modal verb. So the letters must be written by him. Letters must be written by him. This is the passive voice, and this is the active voice. This is the active voice, and this is passive voice. So remember, must, be, and past participle. When you start the original object into sentence, because the object of active voice becomes the subject of passive voice. So when you wanted to start your original object into sentence, do not use past must. Do not change past must, but use be must. There is stationary. There's no change, but be and past participle. So look at the example. He must return the letters. The letters must be written by him. So let us continue. Let us continue. Remember the rules. You are going to use passive and active, active and passive. When you wanted to change active into passive voice, you need to remember, keep in mind the rules you are going to use. Only sentences containing transitive verbs, only sentence containing only sentences contain transitive verbs. Verbs that take one or more subject or object. Verb which has object, we call transitive verbs. So you need to use passive voice. When can we change the sentence into passive voice? We're gonna change when it has an object, because intransitive verbs cannot be used in passive voice. But you only need to use transitive verbs into passive voice. So only sentence contain transitive verbs, verbs that take one or more than object. For example, paint, write, eat, clean, etc. It can be changed from active voice to passive voice. So when you wanted to change the sentence into passive voice, it should have an object. If the sentence doesn't have an object, you cannot change into passive voice. For example, my grandfather died last year. This sentence the die is an intransitive verb, so we cannot change into passive voice. Okay, or Nelson Mandela died 10 years ago. You cannot change this sentence into passive voice because die it doesn't have an object. Doer of the action is required to change a sentence from the passive voice. Doer of the action, the subject. So it's required to change sentence from the passive voice. So this point is very important. The most important point is transitive verbs can be used into passive voice, but not intransitive verb. Do not use intransitive verb into passive voice. Number 2, for the simple present tense, when you are going to use simple present tense into passive voice, use auxiliary verb is are. These are auxiliary verbs with a past participle, to form the passive voice. So this rule tells us that whenever you are going to use into present symbol into passive voice, you have to use is are and a past participle because you need it. For example, active voice. This sentence is an active voice. We wanted to change into passive voice. Once a week, Tom cleans the house. Tom cleans the house. Tom cleans the house. Once a week, the house is cleaned by Tom. Once a week is a simple present tense, because this is a present, special present tense, because it always happens once a week. Once a week, Tom cleans the house. It's an active voice. It's not a passive voice. We wanted to change into passive voice. Once a week, the house is cleaned by Tom. So this is passive voice. So this is the subject, Tom is the subject, and clean is the verb, and the house is an object. So when you are going to change, begin with the object. The house is cleaned by Tom. Past simple tense in passive voice. When you wanted to use, remember the rules of simple past tense when you are going to use passive voice. For the simple past tense, use was. Simple past tense. We're gonna remember or keep in mind the rules of the simple past needs. So this is auxiliary. The auxiliary verb was and were. was, and were. Remember, and past participle. So when you wanted to turn into a past voice, simple past tense sentences, we wanted to change into past voice. Remember to use was, were, and past participle. Very important. Look at the example. This active voice, and these are past sentences, and these are active sentences. Dad, father. Dad drove us home. Dad drove us home. It's a simple past. How are we going to change? We, because us is an object pronoun, personal pronoun. So it becomes we. We were driven home by dad. We were driven home by dad. So was can be used as singular, and where can be used plural. So dad drove us home. The best way becomes we were driven home by dad. What about he caught the ball? He caught the ball. 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 The best way becomes the ball was caught by him. Because past and past participle are same, catch, caught. So he is the subject, and caught is the verb, and the ball is an object. So how are you going to change? The ball was caught by him. So this is an active sentence, and this a passive sentence. So when you are going to use simple past into past voice, remember was, were, and past participle. And remember another point. When the sentence begins with the object, we say past voice. When the sentence begins with subject, we say it's an active voice. What about past continuous tense? Present continuous tense. Present continuous tense. Present continuous and past continuous. Continuous. So for present continuous tense, use is are with being. Is are with being. Is are with being. Is are with being. So simple present is different from the is are and present continuous can be used. Simple present can be used. Is are and present continuous can be used is are. But the difference is being. Because simple present tense cannot be used being, but present continuous tense or continuous tenses can be used being. Followed by past participle. To form past voice. So this point is very important. When you wanted to use present continuous tense into past voice, remember is are, being, and past participle. Look at the example. The waves are washing away the sand castle. The waves are washing away the sand castle. How are we going to change into past voice? Where is the subject? Waves is the subject. Away, washing away is the verb, and sand castle is the object. So, and what is the tense? Present continuous tense. So, follow the rules. The sandcastle, the sandcastle is a singular subject. Is being washed away by the waves. Sandcastle is being washed away by the waves. So this is an active sentence, and this is a passive sentence. So remember, she's writing a letter. How are we going to change into past voice? A letter is being written by her. Is being written by her. So letter is a singular. Start with letter because letter is the subject. She is the object. Writing is a verb, and letter is an object. So when you wanted to change, start with into past voice. Start with a letter, and then is, because letter is a singular. We need a singular verb like is, not or are. Being written by her. Number 5, for the past continuous, past continuous tense use was and were, like simple past. But the difference is being, because it's continuous. All the continuous tenses can be used being by past participle followed by past participle to form passive voice. So this point shows tells us that past continuous tense. I was writing a letter, I was helping my mother, I was going to school, I was reading my lesson, I was playing football. All this, they are past continuous. So when you wanted to use into passive voice, we're going to use was, were with being followed by past participle, because all the verbs of passive voice are past participle. Look at the example. Jimmy was making costumes. Jimmy was making our costumes. So this is an active voice because Jimmy is the subject and making is a verb and our costume is an object. So how are we going to change into passive voice? Our costumes were because costumes is a plural. Our costumes were being, used being, because this tense is this verb has an ing. Okay, our costumes were being made, and making becomes made, past participle. This is a present participle, but this in during past phase it becomes past participle. So our costumes were being made by Jimmy. She was reading the book. She was reading the book. It's an active sentence. Change into passive sentence. The book was being read by her. The book was being read by her. So remember, whenever you are going to use a present continuous tense in passive voice, remember is, are with being. Is, are with being. Am is used for I, is used for singular, and are is used for plural or plural nouns or pronouns. And for example, the waves are washing away the sandcastle. In past continuous tense, use was and were with being, followed by past participle. Do not forget past participle, the third part of the verb. Jimmy was making our costumes. Let's continue. Simple future. How are you going to use simple future in past voice? And the rules, keep the rules. And present perfect tense, two tenses. For the future tense, not all the tenses, but simple future tense only. For simple future tense, we're gonna use shall, will, with be. Not only shall and will, but be. Followed by past participle to form the past voice. So here you have three things: will or shall be and past participle. Four. So remember, yeah. The choir will sing the next hymn. The choir will sing the next hymn. How are we going this sentence change into past voice? The next hymn will be sung. Sing is a present, but sang is past participle because we're going to use past participle. The next hymn will be sung, will be sung by the choir. We will celebrate her birthday. We will celebrate her birthday. We is the subject. Will is the modal verb and main verb and celebrates the main verb. Her birthday is the object. So we will celebrate her birthday. Her birthday will be celebrated by us. So this is the passive voice. So remember, will, shall, be, and past participle. Present perfect tense. Use have, has, and been. Have, has, and been, followed by past participle to form the passive voice. For example, active voice, Ali has scored 2 goals. Ali has scored 2 goals. This is present perfect tense. Okay, Ali is the subject. Has is auxiliary verb, score is a main verb, to go is an object. So remember, have can be used with I, you, and plural. Has can be used with only singular pronouns and nouns, and been. So in terms of active sentences, being cannot be used, but only past voice can be used, passive voice. Okay, thank you very much for your watching. I hope you good luck. So let us we will meet next week inshallah. I say to you assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. So read more.